Welcome to the next class. We're going to learn about how cryptocurrency works, but before that, we're going to learn when you have the right idea, how do you execute on it. So we're going to talk about the management theory of structured chaos. If you're doing anything in the crypto world, you're essentially doing a startup. The underlying beauty of a startup is you're operating in a world of pure chaos by design. Usually you're going after an incumbent player with more resources, more people, more money, more customers, a stronger brand. You usually have a new team. Not enough money, not enough time, not enough resources. So by design, there's chaos. Usually it's a team that came together. There's new people, new energy in the environment. You have to learn to work together under harsh conditions to make something work. So it's chaos by design. So we're going to talk about the management theory of structured chaos. How do you create structure out of disorder and make it work for you? So this management theory I've been using and I've been evolving over the last bunch of years. So we'll talk about it for a few minutes. And my advice, I have one single piece of advice: make it your own. Ready to go? So the baseline of all management is setting a clean and clear foundation when you get started. The most important thing about setting a foundation is checking your ego at the door. You will make a mistake. Go in understanding, appreciating, acknowledging from day one, the very first thing you do will probably be a mistake. The question is how do you handle it? Can you be vulnerable? Can you show vulnerability and ask your team for support? You're in a startup. Your intern may solve your hardest problem. When that happens, and it will happen one day, thank them, reward them, and level them up. Once we've established that we have to check our ego at the door, now let's take a look at the rest of the management theory. The three elements. First element, a startup is a 10-year commitment. That's the average life of a startup. Sure, in the cryptocurrency world, you may think it's shorter because you have these coin offerings, people raising a lot of money really fast. The question is what do you do with it? How long will it take for your coin economy to develop? Probably the same 10 years it takes any startup to develop. So understand going in, on the basis of trust of your team and trust in yourself, that you have to have very strong trust in yourself, very strong self-confidence, very strong personal vision, and you need to know you're going to battle with your team, that you trust them. When something goes wrong, will they be holding your hand or picking your pockets? That is, before you learn how to manage them, you have to build a strong foundation of partnership. And how do you do that? Get to know people. Take your time. Build slow to move fast. Develop those relationships. Spend time with people outside of the office. Learn what makes them tick. Learn what's interesting to them, what they value, what do they want out of the situation. Oftentimes, it may not be what you think. You may think somebody wants money. They really may just want to be successful. Or they may want to look good. Or they may want something else you didn't even think about. So you want to understand what people's personal goals are so you can build trust, that you're helping each other grow to establish and achieve the potential that they want and you want as individuals. Then once that trust is in place, you can come together and figure out how it works as a team. And trust is a fluid concept. It changes over time. It's based on the situation and the environment, and life often ends up in the gray. People end up in conflicting situations all the time. The question is how do you handle it? Do you handle it with transparency, accountability, and resolution? That's what you want to look for. So it's like any relationship. It's good to have a little bit of drama very early because then you get to see what people are made of. How do people handle themselves in a period of drama? How do people handle themselves in a period of conflict? How do people handle themselves when things are on the verge of massive, massive, massive success? Right? Your colors, you see people's colors when you see them in an inflection point of personal growth. And that is one of the most important things you can figure out about your new partners. And I mean partners, it could be your actual partner, it could be your investors, it could be your employees, it could be your intern, it could be who you report to. Understanding that interpersonal dynamic of how people collaborate And what's in it for them and what's in it for you and how you come together is really the first step in building a foundation and establishing mutual trust. Now that we have trust, the next step is alignment. Now, my handwriting is completely and totally horrible, but I'm still putting this on the board because it's really important to remember these words, and as I said earlier, make it your own. If you try copying this, you won't be able to read it either. But make it your own. Come up with your own nomenclature, your own words that speak to you. Alignment is all about, first, having a shared mission. Now, a shared mission is about a general goal. It doesn't have to be explicit words that everyone says and repeats over and over again. It's a shared goal towards achieving something for the greater good. That could be profits, it could be social mission, it could be both. But what is your shared mission to achieve together? Once you have an alignment for that, what are the goals you need to achieve that mission? The way I suggest doing that is ask everybody on your team. Let everyone come up with their ideas and contribute. As a leader, you choose the ones that you want to keep in, but let everyone contribute to the dialogue. Once you have those shared goals, then you kick it back to your team and ask them, what can you do to contribute towards these shared goals? What are the evolving KPIs and targets you want to set for yourself? Now, if you're in a startup, your KPIs will always be a moving target. If you hit them too easily, you set the wrong KPIs. If you hit them too hard, then you may be focusing on the wrong things. If you're way off base, you should be reevaluating both the organization itself and the nature of the relationships and team in the organization. Most times, you sort of hit your KPIs, you sort of evolve to new ones, especially when you're growing and finding a shared vision, and usually the dates are a little bit off. So it's about how do you set alignment as an organization towards your goals, and how do you evolve over time and grow from that experience to make it better. So it may start off where you have a KPI to achieve X by Y date. And it may turn out, well, you don't quite do that, but you find something bigger to do, and it takes an extra month longer. What you want to do is you want to reward people for breaking their KPIs and evolving them. Because that means they're growing and they're showing the organization can grow. In a startup, you need passion. You need commitment. And you need creativity towards achieving those stated goals and then growing those goals. What you want to avoid is robots and just hyper-focus on minutia, because you're a startup. Your competitor probably has the minutia down much better than you. They have processes, you're just building processes. They have team, you're just building team. They have resources, you're just finding resources. So you want to focus on the broader alignment towards goals in order to achieve the bigger mission of really being the best you can be in the space that you're in and achieving the most that you can possibly achieve. Now, that's alignment. Next, execution. So we have trust, we have alignment, we have execution. As we said, trust is about being able to work with the people around you and understanding you're in the game together, that you're holding hands for the next 10 years. That being vulnerable, when you make a mistake, and you will make mistakes, that your teammates will pick you up, help you correct those mistakes, show you how to do them better in the future, and maybe even reward you for trying hard. You want to have alignment, shared goals, shared mission, and an understanding that you're evolving and growing together and learning and developing. Once we've established that as the foundation, execution. What does execution mean? Execution means actually doing what you set out to do. That is building and managing a team, finding resources, sales, marketing, engineering, all the stuff that it requires to build a successful organization and a sustainable one. It's really important when we start an execution to understand the concept of incentive-reward alignment. The way that works is be very careful and very intentional with the goals you set and the rewards you set against those goals. People will operate to achieve the set goals and set rewards that you put in place. So is it stock options? Is it cash? Is it making people look good in Employee of the Month? Is it giving people press? Is it making people feel good? What are the rewards that you're giving out as an organization? Making sure those are matching the goals that you want to achieve. So, if your goal is revenue growth, make sure your rewards support that. Is your goal is profits? Is your goal to launch a product? You will get what you ask for. It will come out slightly differently than you think, most likely, so be really careful with how you set your incentive and reward structure. Now, as startups evolve, organizations evolve, people evolve, you will learn along the way that some of your team members are 10 times better than you ever thought. You'll also learn along the way where people will reach their natural capacity to contribute. And it's really important to understand that even in the best of intentions, even with the people you love, it could be your best friend, your brother, your sister, your girlfriend, your wife, your husband, your mentor, your ex-partner that you worked on your last project with. In the current project that you're working on, you want to be really conscious of where your personal maximum capacity is and where your partners, employees, advisors, investors, and executives' natural capacities are. Because if you try forcing someone beyond their natural capacity to contribute, it will likely create drama and could blow the stuff up. And so it's really important to be self-aware of where that is and be able to design the structure of the organization to either allow for evolution, which means for people to grow and evolve and develop, or to simply create a structure where the organization itself evolves. And that means the team changes. And those are difficult, painful conversations, but really important. It's like that time when your parents, your dad or your mom or your brother, your sister, your best friend may take you aside and say, "Hey David," or "Hey Richie, I'm sorry, you're just not that good at basketball. You shouldn't be trying to be a professional basketball player." It's a tough conversation. Sometimes you need to have it. In fact, if you don't have it, that's when things can really run into trouble down the line. You know what? When I was younger, I wanted to be a professional basketball player, like all young kids. I'm about 5'7". I'm not the most coordinated person. Yeah, I have hustle, and I'm tough. And I can play with people bigger than me, but I'm not a professional athlete. At some point, you have that moment in time when you realize, find the path that works for you and create the organizational and development structure to make your life work. Same thing in an organization. You got to figure out the way to make it work. So, execution. Way to do it. Make sure you choose the team that's strong. Everyone sets their own goals to match the team goals. Everyone has the understanding that if there's something needs to change, there's a release valve to suggest change and allow things to evolve. Then, whoever's reporting to you, first, make sure you have clear whoever's point on every single thing. One of the biggest issues organizations have when multiple people are trying to lead the same thing. That just means you're butting heads. Make sure if someone is point, it's very clear. On legal, your point. Business development, your point. Sales, your point. Technology, your point. Product management, your point. Whoever it is, they're the person that sets the agenda, sets the meetings, leads the follow-up, does the proposals, and is responsible for closing. Everyone else supports them, works together. It's a partnership. But who is point on everything? Then it's also really clear when something is not achieved, who is responsible. Point person is responsible. So one of the other things that often happens in a startup, especially when you have what I call the first-time founder syndrome, is it's very hard to be vulnerable when you're the founder for the first time. I've done this. I've screwed up royally because I wasn't allowing myself to be vulnerable. What does that mean? If your team makes a mistake, as the CEO, you are responsible. Let that sink in for a second. One of your employees can be a horrible engineer, ship the product late, steal from the company, not close the deals, and lie to you. Ultimately, as a CEO, that's still your personal responsibility. You need to understand and learn that if you're going to go into being a CEO or founder of a startup. Take responsibility first. It leads with you. Then, talk to them and show them, hey, listen, ultimately this is my responsibility for the organization. What you do, your actions reflect on me. What you did here is I noticed that you did X. The reflection on me of X is Y. If this happens again, I'm going to have to take the following corrective action. However, I'm also open to learning, training, and helping you grow because I think you have a lot of potential. There's some things you just don't know yet. Learn, pay attention. However, whether it's learn from me or learn from someone else, it doesn't matter how you learn. I'm here for you to be your support system and make sure you have the ability to learn. But understand, if you do that again, you're putting yourself in a position where I'm responsible, so that means I have to make the tough decision. So you will have made that tough decision for me by putting me in this position again. And it's really difficult to have that level of honesty, integrity, and vulnerability. But I really suggest, if you're going to go and be a startup founder, whether it's in cryptocurrency, technology, or a bakery, you have that moment of conversation with yourself, of being able to accept ultimate responsibility. Because when things go wrong, it's your fault, and only your fault. You have to understand that. Then you can make changes in the future, so you can eliminate that situation so it doesn't happen. You can let that person go, you can part ways friends, and then it won't happen again. There's still, the ultimate responsibility rests on your shoulders. So how do you manage people in a period of total chaos? Micromanaging does not work in startups. People do startups because they want freedom and they want to be ultimately accountable. Also, you don't have the time to micromanage. There's not enough resources or time or anything, really. You have to be able to operate on the basis of trust. You operate on the basis of trust because you have alignment on your goals and you have a clear process for execution. The way you get back to execution is let people opt into their goals, let them create them or co-create them with you, let them change them over time, make sure they know they can talk to you if there's an issue, and then offer them training and support. Put a minute on the calendar every day to talk to them, to have a daily stand-up conversation where they say, hey, I'm working on this, I could use your help for that, and I have a question about this. It could take 2 minutes every day while you're still getting to know each other. After you get to know each other, you don't have to have that much frequent touch bases. But in the beginning, it's a new hire, a new employee, a new business partner, a new contractor even. You need to have that period of getting to know each other. Then, at some point, you learn what the other person's likely to say, and then you have to just touch base on a regular basis and hold each other accountable, and be there when the other one runs into problems. Ultimately, in a startup, everybody has a problem at some point. It could be internal, someone might have a bad morning. It could be external, someone might have yelled at them. It could have been they just don't know how to solve a problem. It could be something's running late. Who knows? Everything that can go wrong will go wrong. In a startup, that's amplified because you have less resources, less time, and you don't know what you're doing yet in the early days of a startup. Even if you've done the exact same business before and you sold it for a fortune, you're doing it a second time starting at 5 years later. The challenges you have at year 5 when you're selling your company for hundreds of millions of dollars and you have 100 million of revenue are different than the challenges you had 5 years before when you started. The odds are, as the same founder doing it again, you will make some of the same mistakes again. Simply because you will have likely forgotten or missed something or rushed or thought you knew how to do it because you've done it before successfully. But times change, things evolve, and it's really time to grow. So to leave you for today on the management theory of structured chaos, it's startups are chaos, add just enough structure, and make sure you have basis of trust, alignment, and clear path of execution. Have a great day.